Hey guys, welcome into the Bear With Us podcast. I'm Jack. He's Frank. I think I'm still guy on the left, but we haven't seen that comment in a very long time. Or guy on the right. Now I can't remember.
I don't remember either.
Shit.
It's been a little while.
I think I fucked it up, but I haven't seen that comment in a while. But it's still fun to bring up. You know what else is fun, Frank? God, look at these fucking transitions, man. The Bears getting a dub. Look at us. We're expert, man. I had a rough week. I'll fully admit it. If you listened to any of my picks last week and decided to bet on them, I apologize in advance. It was a rough week. That's the worst I've done in because I've been doing this sort of on my own. I think since 2017, maybe even before that. And normally I'm around 500, but this was a weird fucking week, Frankie.
Listen, we are the last 3 years have had this same sort of trajectory. Defenses hit hard early, and you're like, whoa, maybe defenses have caught up, and then the offenses start going a little nuts, and that's what we're starting to do. The offenses are starting to pick back up. And like I told you, I think this was week 1. I saw a Reddit comment. I hate when I need to screenshot so I can give people credit. So I'm not stealing things from them, but they had essentially said the reason for that, they think anyway, is that offenses are so timing based versus defenses aren't. So the first few weeks, especially given the less OTA reps and the less preseason and yada yada, the defenses are already rocking and rolling, offenses are not. And we're starting to see that, but we're also starting to see who's real and who's not. So it's
weird though, Frank. It's weird because maybe this is how it normally is, and maybe I just haven't been paying as much attention to it. But there are only 12 teams currently with a record above 500.
That feels this year exclusive.
There are, what am I seeing here? I got 1, 2, 3, 4 teams that have a 500 record. And then you have 15 teams under half the league almost is under 500. And most of them have 2 or less wins. It's been a weird year, man. This is just very strange. It feels very top heavy.
Yep.
But the top heavy teams also don't feel all that I don't know, Detroit is 5-2, one of the better records in the league. You saw what just happened to them in Baltimore. Jacksonville's 5-2. Nothing's super special. Houston or Cleveland, excuse me, is 4-2 with all the issues they've had at quarter. The Bills are 4-3. It's just a weird year. And I think kind of seeing that is just, it feels like any team truly has a chance to win.
Yeah, I mean
except for the Panthers because they're fucking terrible.
Yeah, that's fair.
Shout out Panthers.
The parity's on full display, Jack. Yeah. I think we're only going to continue to get that. I do think the one thing that we have seen that maybe throws this off as of the last 5 years maybe is teams are openly in rebuild mode. That used to be a dirty word. Remember when we were growing up, people wouldn't use the R word. It was whoa, right. You rebuild. What do you mean rebuild? Yeah. Now new GMs get hired and they're yeah, this is going to be a 3-4 year rebuild. I mean, Ryan Poles was very open about this taking time, building through the draft, doing it the right way. You would have never heard, even if that was the situation. It's not that it didn't happen. It's just, I think with teams being more open about it, I think more teams are actually doing it too. So that's probably skewing some of these results and numbers as well.
Yeah, I wonder if part of that is maybe just fans having more access than ever before. Teams could get away with a lot of shit because they didn't have to, fans didn't have constant access 24. You just go.
Jackie, you are frozen.
Game because you and I both picked the Raiders to win.
You just froze for 20 seconds.
Oh man, I was talking that entire time.
Look at that. It left off when you were saying that the fans didn't used to have access to people.
Oh well, that's all that conversation went. So it doesn't matter what else I had to say about that. We can cut that out in the the episode. But I'll mark that with a cough. Anyways, Brank is what I just said. So we'll cut that. Jesus Christ. Frankie, let's pivot and switch over to the Bears and Raiders game, because you and I both picked the Raiders to win this game. We thought it really was going to be quite ugly. And to be honest, after that first drive, I texted you and I was like, this is going to be a long fucking day, because it looked bad. It looked really, really bad. The Bears wanted the ball first. The Raiders were actually driving down the field pretty well. And then the Bears' new defense, I'm going to call it their new defense, stepped the fuck up and really they've been playing really well. Granted, it was Brian Hoyer who looked just Frank, I can't really understand why they went with Brian Hoyer instead of Aiden O'Connell at this point. Like,
well, Josh McDaniels,
I know he's a Josh McDaniels guy, but
he said it's not the preseason anymore. That's what he said after the game.
Well, he better be careful, or else he's not going to be coaching past the preseason of next year either.
He's not. There's no way they bring him back.
He's fine. The decision to go away from to go to Jimmy Garoppolo, who's always hurt.
Yep.
Right. That he's been hurt forever. To go away from Derek Carr, a very steady quarterback. Say what you will, you say what you want about him. How good he is but he's dependable. He's always there. He's
Well, and that was the weirdest.
Just don't see how this is better than it was last year.
That was the weird thing, Jack, before we dive into the game, is remember the offseason when we were doing the quarterback carousel, the weirdest thing about that was, I understand wanting to get away from Derek Carr. Maybe he doesn't fit. Maybe you're looking for a more aggressive style quarterback, but you got the same prototype of a quarterback, but only one that gets hurt way more. Like, you didn't go get a big game hunter. You didn't go
Aaron
get
Rodgers.
A gunslinger. You got the same quarterback, just the Italian version. Like, I don't understand what the game plan there was.
Yeah, no, I truly do not understand what the game plan, and you can see it on Josh Jacobs' numbers. Like, Josh Jacobs, man, this run, I thought he was going to go off against the Bears run defense, but to their credit, they've been playing really, really well. Andrew Billings, I think, only played like a third of the snaps, Frank. I think Gervon Dexter actually ended up with more snaps than him, which you really like to see. And I wonder if maybe that has something more to do with them having to pass the ball more, because they were down so often. They were down almost the entire game. And well, not almost the entire game. They were down the entire game. And maybe Gervon has more of the pass rushing role, which is kind of what we expected. I do want to start on the defensive side. I know what everybody wants to talk about, but I feel like we can flip the script a little bit, because I thought the defense this week was honestly more of a story than the offense was, even though they scored 23 points. We texted a little bit about it. We talked about it to begin the season. Who we wanted to extend, who we thought, maybe we could wait a little bit. You and I are both in the camp of re-signing Jalen Johnson. And I think this game really enforced it. I know a lot of people are, looking for stats, and he's been hurt and et cetera, but man, this dude, I think I saw he's the best graded corner in the entire league right now on PFF for what it's worth.
It's not shocking. He's been playing really good football, and the defense as a whole is really starting to come along, Jack, to a point where, and I said this last week, and I'm not backing off of this, under no circumstances do I want this coaching staff back unless miraculously they make the playoffs. But this defense these last 3 weeks is playing so well that the argument at the end of the year, if they continue to play this way, is going to be, well, he figured the defense out and that's his guy. Now just let him fire the OC and, get a new OC. I mean, we're back. We may be back in the Lovie Smith days. That's literally what's happening before our eyes. But I mean, again, the thing is, at the end of the day, I don't want to talk coaches yet. We're so far removed from that. But this is what we wanted to see in this young defense. Remember, we talked about the pressure wasn't necessarily there. They weren't, getting too many sacks, but the coverage, that was our best case scenario going into this year. We needed a defensive end. What can happen? Jalen looks like a monster. Kyler Gordon takes strides, and Tyreek Stevenson is who the scouts thought he was. A potential first round guy, and they played fucking well. I mean, Jalen, he's. People get into these weird Twitter debates. Is he elite? Is he not elite? It doesn't matter. Dude, I don't care. Like, look at him play. Look at the production. I don't care if you think he's better than Sauce Gardner or not, because he probably isn't. But it's like, do you only pay the top 2 or 3 guys? No, this guy has the ability to be a rock. He's your CB1. You pay him now, and I hope I'm not stealing your point, Jack, but I feel the same exact way. You texted me. You said, because if you get rid of him this year or you just let him walk or whatever, you're only creating a hole on the team. And that I agree with. Why are you? He's young. He's probably going to become cost control. I don't think he's going to command a huge contract. It's going to be a pretty big one, but it's not going to be one that is going to set you back by any means. But why wouldn't you just rock with your corners being Johnson, Stevenson, and Gordon? That's a good 3 right there with two of the 3 that still haven't even, we don't know what their peak is yet. I think Jalen sort of is who he is right now, which it's not a negative, but if this is his floor, I mean, imagine if he has more room to grow. But we've seen what we've seen over the last few years. He's a good player. Pay the man.
Right. And it pushes everyone else down a step or two. I mean, do you really want to go in next year with Tyreek Stevenson being your potential cornerback 1?
Well, because Kyler isn't going. I don't think Kyler's going back outside. That's the whole.
And that's part of it. And nor should he, in my opinion. And in the nickel, he looked really good. And I think that's ultimately, Frank, what is also very frustrating. Like, you just look top 5 tacklers stats wise, all DBs: Brisker, Stevenson, Kyler Gordon, and Elijah Hicks. Like, those guys had more tackles than TJ Edwards, Jack Sanborn, your defensive ends, your defensive tackles. Like, they put up numbers because of how often the Raiders were having to throw the ball. And I thought they performed. This was by far their best game. And granted, this is more of what we expected, again, when everyone's healthy, right? That's a big part of this too. What is frustrating is, with all of the mistakes and the inconsistencies we've seen with Matt Eberflus, it's frustrating because it's like, I wish almost he was just the defensive coordinator. Like, the Bears had just hired him as the DC so he could just focus on this. Because then again, you can say what you want about how well they've been playing the last couple weeks. They've been really stepping up, especially since he's been play caller. But again, the pressure still isn't there. 1 sack against a Raiders team that has just one of the least mobile quarterbacks in the league. They shut down Josh Jacobs, which is really good. That's awesome. But you see, like, the mistake to go into halftime, that 2-minute drill where they're at midfield and they make a nice completion, and he's just refusing to use one of his 3 timeouts. He had all of his timeouts, and he was just letting the clock burn because, and Frank, you know exactly why. The play that they made to convert to getting closer to midfield was on 3rd down. And basically what he was saying was, I don't want to call a timeout because if we don't get this, I don't want to leave them enough time to come back down the field and score. And to me, that embodies all of my concerns that I've had about him since last year, since probably, I would say, the middle of last year, where he's just a coward. He's a coward. And it's hard to see how he's how he's able to develop this team defensively when he's so cowardly, and that he doesn't even trust them to stop the Raiders for 40 seconds when you've been doing it all game. If you don't convert, like, it blows my mind. So I get what you're saying in the sense that, like, is this potentially cracking the door for them to be like, we're still building it, we want to see this through. You can't bring him back as head coach, dude. He's terrible at all the other stuff.
No, I know. Oh, I'm not advocating for it.
No, I know. I'm just saying I've seen the conversation come back around where it's like, well, the defense has been playing good. The guys are developing, which I don't necessarily agree with. Your best corner is a guy that he didn't really develop. Jalen's kind of been Jalen for the last few years now. But I do think, Frank, to the point of contract extension for him, I do want the Bears to be careful, and I talked about this last week as well, and I'll continue to do so. If you keep trading your best players, you and I agreed on the Roquan Smith trade. People don't, whatever. It is what it is. It's happened. Let's move on. If you keep trading your best players, what do the younger guys, what expectations does that leave for them, where it's like, okay, Jalen was one of the better players on our team. They clearly love him, the way they've been talking about him, his extension, things like that. What is it? What kind of message does that send, especially if your whole thing is building a positive culture, right? That's the whole reason you didn't draft Jalen Carter, right? That's the whole reason you traded Chase Claypool, was you want this certain culture. Is your culture going to be trading good players? I don't like that, if I'm being completely honest. It doesn't make sense to me. Roquan is a different story. He didn't fit the defense. I get it. People are going to have their thoughts on it. But a cornerback is a cornerback. And Jalen has proven that he's good in this system when he's healthy and playing. You reward guys like that.
I agree. I mean, Jack especially, and maybe this is a loose connection, but it certainly wouldn't shock me if people felt what you just said if they trade Jalen. And, well, what the hell does that mean for me? He was better than me, or I looked at him as such a good player. And, if I become that, or if I am that, are they going to trade me as well so they don't have to pay me? But then you look at what they did on the offensive line just to accommodate Cody Whitehair, when you could have just put Ja'Tyre Carter. I know he had been bad, but Cody Whitehair was just as bad. And not only did they continue to play him this week, they switched the whole line around just to get him at his preferred position at left guard. And you're like, you're making accommodations for a dude who's clearly over the hill, right? And you're trading probably your best defensive player at this point. That wouldn't be the greatest of looks. So I'm in total agreement of you. I consistently lose track of like when the deadline is to do extensions and things in the NFL. But with the trade deadline looming, I would be livid if they traded Jalen Johnson. There's no circumstance in which you do it.
Because you're not, what value are going to go back? I doubt you get a first round pick for him. I doubt it.
We would get a second. We just draft another corner. We just draft another second round corner.
That's what I'm saying. So you're just drafting a guy to replace the corner that you already know is good. Yeah. Versus the whole prospect thing, which, by the way, speaking of prospects, this quarterback class is going to have some question marks by the end of the year.
Ooh.
Drake May throwing some costly turnovers. Caleb Williams losing to Utah again for like the third time.
I can't wait for the offseason. I can wait, but I have some thoughts on Caleb, man.
I know you do. You've been very excited. Let's flip to the offense now, Frank, because why were we even talking about rookie quarterbacks when we got the quarterback of the future, Tyson Bagent, number 17, stepping up, 29 pass attempts, 21 completions, 162 yards, and a tutty. And a rushing touchdown.
It should have been two because DJ Moore dropped that pass.
Oh, that's right. God, see, I thought he caught it. Because
there's that weird like extension of the play in the end zone. I get why they didn't call
sometimes it counts, sometimes it doesn't. So I would have been fine with it either way. But yeah, no, yesterday was the Donta Foreman show as well.
He balled.
I said it to you. Let's stick on Bagent. We'll get to the rest of the offense. Frank, let's start with the big story, Tyson Bagent. What'd you think? Overall?
I couldn't be more excited by his performance. Now, I know the whole debate, and obviously we're probably going to touch on it at some point, is he QB1? Should he be over Justin? At the end of the day, Jack, not taking that into consideration, your backup rookie quarterback, consistently, a D2 quarterback at that, consistently made the right reads, made the right plays, didn't turn the ball over, played clean football. You can't ask any more from a backup, let alone a rookie from Shepherd University. That's insane. So I say that to say, I'm not nearly ready to say he's here to take Justin's job, and I'll sort of dive into why I think that is. But, I mean, what more could you ask out of your backup there? That's clean. I mean, you were a game manager. That's generally what your backup is, right? And generally speaking, players who play the way that Bagent plays, or maybe that he has to play due to some physical limitations, and the way that Justin plays due to his physical prowess, just what he can actually do, with his physical abilities, the floor does raise with that type of quarterback. Take the names away, take the profile, take when they got drafted. Game managers, they raise the floor just a tad bit because they're going to make the right choices, but they're also going to lower the ceiling a little bit as well. So when I think about what I saw from Tyson Bagent, and then I'll throw it over to you, he's really everything that Justin Fields isn't. And that comes with some good and with some bad. The good is his pocket awareness was there. Quick decisions, making the right reads, making the right throws on time. Didn't hold the ball long where he's getting sacks. But then here comes the bad part of not being Justin Fields or having that skill set is there were no deep shots downfield. I don't think this game plan works against not the Raiders, right? Like this game plan works against a bad team and he did everything right. And he can continue to do everything right against other teams. But when you're playing the Niners, when you're playing the Steelers, these teams with good defenses, they're not going to allow, like he was giving what the defense gave him. Better defenses aren't going to give you things, right? Like, but better defenses are going to be in your face at all times. So again, that's not to take anything away from him. That's just me seeing the differences immediately in the small sample size that we have between what Tyson Bagent was able to do and what Justin Fields generally does. But I mean, all in all, how could you not be excited about, again, outside of people wanting to stir up the QB controversy, from that type of performance out of a rookie? That was great.
Yeah, no, his first game at home, first win at Soldier Field Soldier Field in a year. And you get it from a guy who was just playing. I think I saw Colorado School of Mining. He played a team with a school with that name, which is just incredible. Yeah. But no, I mean, overall, I thought he looked very solid, and he did a lot of the things that we saw last week that we were encouraged to see again, which is great. Ball came out quick. Looked like he knew where he was going a lot. I thought he made it. He did make a couple of mistakes, though, as you expect, where you'd think if Justin, like Frank, I'm going to be honest with you, man. There was no part of me yesterday watching the game that thought to myself, wow, if Justin Fields was playing this Raiders defense, they wouldn't be doing this. They wouldn't, or he wouldn't be able to do this. He wouldn't be able to execute this game plan. And that's kind of what's frustrating about sort of this whole change that we've been waiting for. 16 carries for Donta Foreman, 14 carries for Darrynton Evans. And the averages that they were getting every single play, it's just like they were converting. I think they converted like 20 third downs or some crazy number like that. Like they were just moving the ball. Like they had, I think, three possessions total where they had the ball for at least 12 plays. They were just, eight of 13 on third down. That's an incredible number. Now the penalties were really bad. A lot of false starts, a lot of holding calls that kind of threw off this offense. And that's when the offense, I should say, really got in trouble, was when they would get pushed back. This was not a game plan where it's like, okay, if the Raiders were scoring like they normally do, there is not a part of me that thinks that the Bears would have been able to keep with them. Because like you said, they weren't moving the ball down the field with big throws or the type of stuff we see from Justin. But they were moving methodically, and they were killing clock and doing everything that I think Matt Eberflus gets a hard on for. But I mean, it was encouraging to see DJ Moore still produce, even with. I mean, I'm sure he's used to playing with not great quarterbacks, so maybe it felt a little more comfortable for him. I loved the use of getting Tyler Scott involved more. I want to see more of it. Darnell Mooney had a solid game. Man, is Cole Kmet hurt or something? He was not involved once in the offensive game plan.
He wasn't. It was a little weird, especially given before these last 2 weeks, he had really big games. Like he was playing very well. So I don't know.
And it's like any other team, when they have like a young quarterback, immediately try and get their tight end involved.
Yep. That's safety net type of thing. Yep.
They didn't use him at all on tight ends day, no less.
I know.
But no, I agree with you about what you'd expect from, or what you'd want to see from a rookie quarterback. I was impressed, but I do want to temper expectations. I don't agree. I agree with you. I don't think he's taken Justin's job or anything like that.
Same. That being said, the big narrative that I do want to talk about, Jack, because we may even defer here a little bit in the whole thing, but I saw a lot of people who are clearly, in the Justin Fields camp. I'm not distancing myself from that. I still think he's QB1 here. But just saying like, well, where was this when Justin was in the field? Why wasn't Luke Getsy drawing up these types of plays? And I'm like, are we watching a different offense? Because this looks like the same exact offense. And this is where I said that you take the good and the bad, with Tyson being the complete opposite of Justin Fields in terms of play style. Because he was able to execute what we've seen consistently out of what Luke Getsy wants in this offense. The quick throws, even like the screens were a little more on time. Like everything was just sort of fit a little bit more into what Tyson Bagent likes to do, or can do, I should say. The one complaint that I do have, though, Jack, when it comes to Luke Getsy, is it's something that I said last week against the Vikings. If they just committed to the run, they beat the Vikings because the defense played so well. It seemed like they went right back to that weird week 1 game plan of, okay, let's just run it so the media shuts the fuck up and let's let Justin sit in the pocket and like try to throw 30-yarders, 40-yarders. When you were describing the run game, I didn't have the stats on top of with me, but even throwing away what the stats were, this was a commitment to the run that we haven't seen so far this year. They also built off of the run. There was some misdirection, there was some rollouts, and I'm thinking, man, I don't care who's in at quarterback. It's not to say, well, he's sabotaging Justin. What I'm saying is this is what you do for young quarterbacks. Why aren't you doing that regardless of who's in the game? Because That's what the commitment to the run, the misdirection stuff to help Tyson Bagent out. But the thing that really pissed me off, Jack, was I stopped paying attention to it because the game got a little out of hand. It wasn't about the specifics anymore. But consistently in the first half of the game, he had, Luke Getsy that is, had Cole Kmet chip blocking. He had some running backs chip block. And I'm like, where the fuck was that? Again, it's not about I'm not presenting a case in which he's sabotaging his quarterback one. But it's like, you're showing me the ability to support a young, inexperienced quarterback because you're doing the small things that need to happen to set him up for success. What is the disconnect when it comes to Justin? But then it dawned on me, Jack. I don't know if you said this on the podcast last week or if it was something that we texted about, but I think you're on to something. And I don't know if it's something that Luke subconsciously does. I almost think we talked about him not trusting Justin. I think it may be the inverse. I think it may be that he trusts Justin too much. And I connected this thought in my head. And my youngest son's starting to get a little bit more sleep at night. So my brain's starting to work again. I'm starting to like put things together. But remember when I told you, and we talked about this last week, I said, I've never seen an offense draw up so many plays where they just let an edge rusher come free because you have so much faith in your quarterback to get away from it. You're almost like trying to set the defense up for something. And then you had said something, I don't remember exactly what it was now, but you said something like, I just feel like, they trust in Justin's physical abilities a little too much. So they like want him to do so much. And it's like becomes a little unrealistic to a point. And maybe that was all the same conversation about the free edge rusher. But then I thought about it when it came to that too. Are you getting an extra wide receiving option in instead of an extra blocker? Because you're like, well, it doesn't matter if Justin gets pressured. He can get out of it. Like he can scramble. He can do things. And it's like, that's such an awful mindset to have, especially for a young quarterback. We're not talking about Aaron Rodgers here. You absolutely do that with someone like him, especially a prime Aaron, right? Like a prime Russell Wilson. Absolutely. I want my blocking tight end off the field as much as I can to put Tyler Lockett at the slot or whoever, your extra receiving option in the slot. Justin's just not there consistently yet. But again, that's what made me so mad is like, what do you think of Justin? Do you think like too much of him that you don't think you have to do things like that for him? I like that's what annoyed me was like, you just showed me some of the small things throughout, especially the first half when I was paying attention to all the details. Like you showed me the ability to support a young quarterback. Keep doing it. Just keep doing it. That's all you have to do. This game plan can work with probably some more deep threats sprinkled in. Bagent has that sort of ceiling that he didn't have that type of arm, but he had
to come out so that Nathan Peterman could throw a ball at the end of the half, man.
But all in all, it was more frustrating because it was like, did you maybe you just figured it out? Maybe it just clicked with you, but like where were those small things when Justin was in? Because again, it's not, and I want to keep making that clear. It's not that he was calling different for Justin. It's like these guys are all. Bagent's a rookie. Justin's in year 3. Like these are young guys. Every young quarterback needs. They're doing shit like that for Trevor Lawrence right now. Like
I think what you're trying to say is that Getsy coached to Bagent's strengths and coached to what his quarterback does well, while also supporting him through the run, building the offense through the run, which is exactly what we for the last year and a half now have been. All we've been hearing is how this offense is built through the run. Well, they finally showed us what that actually looks like. And I'm sorry, but Luke Getsy deserves a lot of blame and a lot of questions about why it took D'Onta Foreman so long to get involved in this offense. It took guys getting hurt for him to be involved. You just watch what he was doing. You watch what he did last year with Carolina. You watch what he did with Houston, with Tennessee. Like he's been this dude, and they just could not figure out a way to get him involved in the game. I can't believe that. To sit Velus down, sit his ass on the bench and find some or Tyler Scott, whatever, or your fullback who you don't use, even though Blasingame did have a nice little catch there, nice little dance.
He had a couple good lead blocks too out of the I formation. Solid.
Maybe sit Mercedes Lewis down if you're not going to use him, which they finally did, or he was he was pretty good, or the tight end from Green Bay that we got that never gets involved either. Like sit one of them down, Robert Tonyan. God, I couldn't think of his name. Me neither. That's how little he's been involved. Yeah. Sit one of them down and get D'Onta Foreman active for these games because the dude was unstoppable yesterday. And granted, maybe a lot of that had to do with the Raiders just being really bad, which is definitely a big part of it. But I mean, dude, you got to figure out a way to get your best players involved. And Luke Getsy consistently has not shown the ability to do that on a consistent level, which I know is kind of a weird sentence, but I don't know, man. Like, the offense looked good, but I don't think this has saved anyone's job, in my opinion. If I was making a decision on the Bears, Eberflus is still gone. Luke Getsy is still gone. Though I like the pieces that they have in place.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Yep. I agree.
Like, I would feel very comfortable at this point if they bring in another quarterback, whatever happens there, they bring in another quarterback, and Tyson Bagent is still here as the backup quarterback.
Agreed.
Because he showed what you're just talking about. One of those guys, one of those backup quarterbacks, PJ Walker. Little wink to the camera there. PJ Walker, Case Keenum, those types of guys who just come in, and Gardner Minshew is a perfect example of a guy who's maybe not a starter, but if you need him to get you a W against a bad team, he could probably do it.
Yep. Tyson Bagent, I mean, just everything you hear from him, high IQ, first guy in, last guy out, sneaky athletic.
Gym rat.
The guy you'd let your daughter marry. Everything you want in a backup quarterback.
I thought it was a little weird because you texted me during the game, or right before the game started. No, it was after his first pass, and you said, finally a real quarterback. And I didn't quite understand what you meant by that.
Yeah, that's great. After that screen pass to DJ Moore.
Yeah,
that did it for me.
But God, don't bring up that. I was just talking good about this offense. And
I know.
Then you brought back the bad stuff of running on second down every single fucking play.
But then there were some third down runs. So that's what I meant. That's what I meant by the commitment to the run, though. It wasn't pass, run, pass, run, but it was like run, pass, run. Like it was a commitment. Right. It was, and with that said, I was ready, and I talked about it a little earlier, in a different context with Whitehair going to left guard. I was ready to come in today, Jack, regardless of result, and fucking go ballistic on that decision. But let me tell you something. If I was going to do that, I have to do the opposite, because that offensive line played their fucking asses off.
Real good.
Patrick looked really good at center. Whitehair looked really good at guard. The tackles, well, a little iffy, couple holding calls, but it is what it is. Let me tell you something, Jack. Tevin Jenkins is the best offensive lineman that the Bears have.
He's
if
bar
he
none.
Can just, I mean, listen, Lord Jesus, I know it's been a while, okay, but if you can just keep Tev healthy for the next 8 years, remember when we were very excited about Ryan Poles talking about how, part of his interview, he talked about how soft the offensive line was, and he's looking for fucking killers and just the dirty. That's what Tev is, and you just watch him play. There was that. Well, I do believe it was one of the screens, and he just pulled out. He pulled from right to left and just fucking absolutely flattened a linebacker. I mean, he's a dog. I love him.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Frank. If Nate Davis is able to get healthy before Braxton Jones comes back, I might want to see Tev at left tackle.
Hey, listen,
I kind of want to see him what he looks like. They've asked him to move so much, and he just does it.
Yep.
And when he does, he performs so well. But like that, they held. Shout out to Darnell Wright, because Max Crosby was coming at him all game long, and he looked fantastic against one of the best edge rushers. Max is so good. God, can we fucking get him on this fucking team, dude? Can we get him on this fucking team, please?
Oh wait, Jack.
He's so good, dude.
He is good. Something that you said earlier though about changing coaches, we should almost be. Maybe I'm just like being way too optimistic at this point. Let's say this regime is gone. We should almost be happy that we don't have edge rushers, because they're more than likely, whatever coach they get, they're going to switch to a 3-4. The 4-3 is just kind of outdated. It's not very many people run it. So the fact that you wouldn't have to convert defensive ends to 3-4 outside linebackers, not the worst thing.
Yeah. Yeah, their edge rushers are not very good.
That's what I mean. You would just probably be cutting them all loose.
They sort of just run into guys. I don't know if you They don't really do anything special, which is why they don't generate pressure. Like they don't twist, they don't stunt, they don't really do a whole lot of that. It's basically one-on-one matchups, try and beat your guy, and they just can't really do it.
But that was Jack. That's what the cover 2 is predicated on. Like think about the Lovie Smith days. They didn't do it. Like the one thing that Lovie did more of was linebacker blitzes, because Urlacher would end the years with 5 or 6 sacks every year, and right. Briggs would get some as well. But outside of that, they didn't do much. It was always about beating your guy.
And that's kind of the problem with the cover 2 with the 4-3. It's you're designing it to win up front against in the run game, but the quarterback is what makes this whole thing go, right? The quarterback is the most dangerous position it's been in a very long time, I would argue. And it just impacts the game so much. Like you watched yesterday, the Eagles with their defensive line get into Tua and how much that affected him. Like that's what you need. You don't need guys to just kind of win like you want to generate pressure as much as possible and win those matchups, but this Bears team can't do it.
Yeah. That said, though, one thing that's come to fruition is they're the 5th best run defense in the league right now. So that's,
they look really, really good. The offensive line, back to them a little bit. I thought Darnell Wright played incredibly well. Tevin, like you said, by far their best offensive lineman, needs to stay healthy. I was very impressed with the left side too, even though Larry Borom had a couple of bad holds that killed drives. The thing with Bagent that you maybe could get away with Fields because of his big playability running the football. Like, here's the thing, Frank. I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but I think it's important to mention, if your thing is the quick passing game, if you like seeing that, more power to you. I'm glad that you saw that. I'm glad that you get a lot of joy from watching that. But you can't tell me that Justin's big playability also isn't an asset in its own right. We didn't see Bagent take off. We saw that one nice run he had, but then he didn't really do a whole lot of that. That's still a threat. I talked about it last year. People who were counting his passing stats but not counting his rushing stats, it just doesn't add up to me. A touchdown's a touchdown. Give it to me however you want. I don't care. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm past the point of 4,000-yard passers. I've accepted that's never going to happen for the Bears. It's just the world we live in.
Come on, it's going to happen eventually.
You can't tell me that Bagent can do what Justin can't.
Yeah. No, but again though, Jack,
vice versa.
That's where, I would like to see Justin take a little bit from Bagent. Hey, some of these were quick. Some of these were 1-2 reads and I'm rolling out, because that has been the play. Remember, we talked about this last week. That's been where Justin frustrates me, is he sits like, you're so athletic. It's okay to not go through. I feel like he took that criticism of not being able to read defenses, and it's like, well, I'm going to get through fucking 5 reads before I even think about rolling out. It's like, no, Justin, sometimes you have to only do 1 or 2, either let it rip, throw it out, or then extend the play. You don't have to get through every read. And you saw that. I mean, Bagent was, how many times did he get to read 3 or 4? And it's not a bad, again, that's not a bad thing. People have this in their mind that everyone has to be Peyton Manning and like go through reads twice before, like, no, like, but Manning was a fucking
or the ball has to be out in 2 seconds, even if the pocket is there.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be one or the other. It's a play-by-play thing, and that's what I would like Fields to take away from Bagent, because even the plays that Bagent extended, I mean, he was like, if he was extending it after a 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds, did that mean he wasn't reading the defense properly at that moment? Were people just not open? Who knows? But you can still make plays out of that. It's okay. And it's like Fields has sort of slowed himself down so much to prove that he's this pocket guy. And he's not a bad pocket passer, but it's just like speed, just get through it quicker. Just even if it means you missed your third guy that was wide open, but you ran out and ran for a first down, that's okay sometimes. You know what I mean?
And again, there's still some things that aren't being coached very well. The fact that neither Justin nor Bagent step up in the pocket to deliver a deeper ball.
Bring it home.
Yeah, I just think there's certain things that aren't being coached very well, and I think that's a big one. Is they don't step up in the pocket, and that has to be a Getsy thing. And there were some times that Bagent was escaping from the pocket, rolling left, rolling right. When the pocket, all he had to do was take a couple steps up, and he would have had a couple extra seconds to get the ball downfield. And they don't do it. And we thought, well, why isn't Justin doing it? Is it a coach thing? Is it Justin thing? If neither him nor Bagent are doing it, to me, that's coaching. That's a coaching misfire.
Well, and that's what me and you were. That was the thing that I told you earlier. I couldn't remember what we were texting about. That was it right there. Because there were times where I'm like, and maybe it's a mash of both. Maybe both guys just aren't as comfortable. You know, who knows? What we won't ever really know that. But especially like we sort of made it like, well, Justin's so athletic. Maybe he thinks he can get away with it, or maybe this is what Luke Getsy wants him to do. But we know. Say what you will if you want Bagent to keep starting. We know goddamn well he's not the athlete that Justin is. No one's debating that. But the fact that he also tried it, I was like, okay, man, this is getting a little bit crazy. Like what? But it also goes back to, you know, Aaron Rodgers did that a ton. That was his game where he would roll outside to get past edge rushers. He was so athletic, he was able to do it. I do think that's coached. I think that's something that Luke Getsy likes to do. I think he thinks that that's the more effective way to extend plays, and sometimes it is, but it feels like Luke is coaching with this huge umbrella versus like sort of if you like reading things and doing the right thing. You know, like he's not doing that. He's doing well, it's always this way. Because it's even like that weird thing in the offseason that I didn't really like where he was like, yeah, what we're doing is we're having Justin, like his step back is coinciding with the route runners. And it's like, what the fuck does that even mean? That like, that's so strange.
Trying to time everything to
like,
a perfect
yeah, time everything up. And it's like,
dude.
that's not how NFL offenses and defenses work. If you do that, now you're like, that to me is when Justin was saying like, what, you know, I have so much coaching in my head and I want to play free. I think that was what he was alluding to, was like, everything is supposed to be like this. And that's why I'm freezing like a deer in the headlights, because I'm being coached to when I'm at this point in my drop back, this is supposed to be there. And if that's not there, now my mind is fucked. And it's not to blame everything on Luke, but that sort of coaching seems to be, there was remnants of it even with Bagent, I guess is what we're both trying to say.
Right. Yeah. And you know, I agree with you. I think there is some timing based stuff that wasn't there, and Bagent even kind of was doing it too. But he was getting the ball out to the checkdowns. He was taking checkdowns, which is something we praised Justin for doing a little bit more at the beginning of the season. Was kind of the next step he was taking, was he was checking the ball down. But Justin's a big game hunter, dude. He wants to make the big plays. He's looking for it. And I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just a different way of playing quarterback. But if you want your quarterback to be Brock Purdy, if you want to rely on the defense and the run game and a lot of other things to make your offense click, more power to you. I'm not one of those people. I want the quarterback to really dictate how the offense works, as opposed to just being a game manager. I've seen too many teams not able to win a Super Bowl because they've had a game manager. And, you know, there's more outliers than there are positives, but I don't know, man. Like here's what I'll say. I would rather Justin be in the Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen category than I would Tyson Bagent being Brock Purdy.
Yep.
That's my feeling towards it. That's how I feel about the quarterback's position.
I get what you're saying. And I also think having that type of quarterback almost fucks you long term. Because again, to my ultimate point of them being total opposites, to that play style just generally raises the floor. You're making the right decisions. You're doing everything right. You're limiting turnovers. So you're keeping your teams in game. So if the defense makes a big play to win a game, or you're just so steady, the commitment to the runs there, you're going to beat the really bad teams doing that. But then you're in football hell. Because if Bagent can stay healthy and he does this and he has a 17-game season, I'd wager they win 5-6 games. That's never going to be, maybe even 7 or 8 if the defense gets good enough and gets built up. That's never going to be good enough to win a Super Bowl. It's never going to be good enough or bad enough to be in the Caleb Williams, Drake May, insert quarterback, generational talent here in the years to come. So again, but that's exactly why, like, I'm not trying to be negative about Bagent. This is a fucking phenomenal performance for a backup quarterback. He just earned himself so much. He can never play again. He's going to be a backup for 10 years based off that performance. He played very well. But at the end of the day, that game plan's in place. What he did is in place because of his physical limitations. There's nothing wrong with that. He's a backup quarterback in this league, and he's going to make himself a lot of money doing so. He might be the next Chase Daniels. He's very high IQ, very smart guy, but he's physically limited. We know that.
He's Gardner Minshew.
I think Gardner has a better arm than him, though.
I'm a little disappointed we didn't at least get to see Tyson really like rip one. Like, but he didn't really take Jack, a lot of deep shots, man.
It's gonna have to like the other thing that people that are saying that they want Bagent to be the starter moving forward. You have to understand no one had tape on him yet. They're disregarding D2 tape. Let's be, that's, you're running base defenses, but even, I mean, the commentators notated, and I saw some people as well breaking down some film. I didn't get to dig in as much as I usually do before we get to record, but he did get fooled a few times from pre-snap reads, and that's okay. That happens. But the more that happens, defenses are going to copy each other. More film's going to be on him. So until we really see, let's say Justin's out for 7 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever, just a elongated period of time, we're going to really know what we have in Bagent week 3, week 4, week 5 of being a starter when defenses really hone in on him and his weaknesses. Because what's going to happen next, and what I would assume is going to happen next week, there's going to be a lot of bump coverage. They're not going to give up. The Chargers are not going to give up those small plays, those little dump downs. They're going to be there, and they're going to make him try to take the top off. We saw this happen with Mitch, who had a better arm than him, but it was just the accuracy that he couldn't get it downfield. Once defenses stepped the fuck up, Mitch couldn't do anything anymore. And we have to see if Bagent, to call for a starting job, I need you to be able to make every single throw. We don't know if he can make every throw yet. So again, it's not to shit on him, but it's just weird for people to jump off that ledge after one start.
The Raiders didn't heat him up at all. They didn't blitz a whole lot. It was just very, very strange of how they decided to handle attacking a D2 quarterback.
Yeah.
A D2 undrafted rookie. So
I almost liken it though. We've seen this a lot in baseball with young prospects. They don't see a lot of curveballs at first. They don't see a lot of, sliders. It's like they want to see if you can handle the heat. Stuff. Why am I even wasting my curveball if you can't handle 95 or 98,
Speaking of Chargers, Frankie, I think that's a good place to transition to our picks this week. And luckily the Bears, well, I don't know if luckily is the right word, but the Bears are one of the later games being on Sunday Night Football. So we'll get to them shortly here. But let's run through some of these picks. Hopefully we have a little bit more luck this week, Frankie. Thursday night, Tampa Bay at Buffalo. Like you said, Josh Allen does apparently have a curse to him of playing just bad against bad teams and good against good teams. I don't know what Tampa is. So, it might be an average performance, but that being said, I'm going Buffalo.
I'm going Buccaneers.
You're done. You're out on Josh, huh?
I'm not necessarily out on him, but this Bills team just feels a little blah.
Yeah. I don't disagree. Jets at Giants. A little bit of a home game for the Jets. I'm going Jets. I know people are buying into the Tyrod Taylor stuff, but this Jets defense is too legit.
I was just to say this Jets defense is a little different. They're top 3 in the league right now, and I don't whether it's Daniel Jones or Tyrod, I don't like their chances. I'm going Jets.
A lot of bad teams won yesterday, which is great. That's why I had so many wrong picks. But
is it Tyrod or is it Tyrod? There was that era for a little bit.
There was that era where he got mad about it, didn't he? Was he one of the ones? Yeah, I can't remember. Too bad. I'm not important enough to remember. Jacksonville at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh with just another classic Pittsburgh win. I'm going Jacksonville though. I'm liking what I'm seeing from Trev. I think he's starting to get it together a little bit more. I'm going Jacksonville.
Yeah, the Jaguars are starting to look pretty good. I'm going Steelers though, man. That may be game of the week.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Yeah, that's a fun one. Philly at Washington. Give me Philly.
Give me Philly as well. We are some of the remnants of that locker room. How long is Ron gonna survive, man?
It's just another Washington football team. Whatever their name happens to be, it's just another one of their seasons, their typical seasons where it's just like they look good sometimes, they look bad other times. They're just such a middling team, middling organization. It's wild stuff. But I have to think with the new owner, he'll maybe want to make some changes.
Agreed.
Rams at Dallas. It could be a really fun one, honestly. I'm gonna go Dallas at home only because I'm not trusting the Rams. I don't know. This is a tough one. I feel like Dallas is going to bounce back against this defense because the Rams defense has not been very good. But man, Puka. How did the Bears not draft Puka? Come on. They had eyes on him.
Listen,
all Senior Bowl.
The Rams have gone loss, win, loss, win, loss. I think this is a classic Matt Stafford, who, if you haven't heard, has Mahomesian characteristics. I think he goes ballistic on Dallas. I'm taking the Rams.
I like it. Minnesota at Green Bay. Man, like a couple weeks ago, I would have been like, yeah, give me Green Bay all day. But I'm going Minnesota to win this one because Green Bay just
Yeah.
Where are the Packers fans talking about Jordan Love now? Huh? Where y'all at now?
He has looked really bad ever since that Bears game.
He's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
He's garbage.
He's bad.
I'm
a little upset that
he's a joke. He's a fraud. He's the fraud. He's the fraud I said that Dan Campbell was. Well, Dan Campbell didn't exactly have a good game either. So maybe they're all frauds.
That shit happens. It's one game, but
stick up for your guy, huh?
I'm going Vikings too.
I don't know though.
This is going to be a game. Watch the fourth quarter. Neither team is going to want to win this game. They're going to give they're going to give each other so many chances to win. It's going to be one of those ugly back and forth.
Yeah.
I mean, just like the Denver. It's going to look just like Green Bay and Denver. That's exactly what it's going to look like.
What I will say is everyone told me and you that Justin Fields only had a good game against Denver because it was the Denver defense.
I know. And then Zach Wilson went on to have a bad game against them. And then so did Jordan Love.
Yeah, so what does that have to say about your guy Jordan Love, Packers fans? I know you're listening. I hear you. I know you're listening. I got you. Atlanta at Tennessee. Talk about gross. You said Jacksonville and Pittsburgh might be the best game of the week. This might be the worst game of the week. This is just ugly. It's ugly stuff. I'm going Atlanta though. I'm going Atlanta. I have no confidence in this pick, but I don't trust Tennessee either. So I'm going Atlanta.
Yeah. Arthur Smith is a fantasy terrorist, dude. 0 touches to Bijan Robinson.
Well, he was sick.
Why is he in then? Why is he in? Yeah. Why is he suited up? I don't believe that. Yeah. I don't believe that for one fucking second. I don't.
He must have done. Maybe he fumbled in practice. Maybe he puts an emphasis on practice.
I don't know. He could, but then Tennessee is just fucking Tennessee. They're an ugly watch. Yeah, I guess I'm going Falcons as well.
New England at Miami. I know Miami tripped up a little bit, but I'm going Miami. Come on now. Uh-oh.
Listen, Tua.
Uh-oh.
I don't think Tua has an answer for this Patriots defense. I think this defense is flying all around. I think Matthew Judon, is he hurt? He may have gotten hurt.
I think he's hurt. Yeah.
I think he's hurt. Someone is going to have a big game. I'm going Patriots, baby.
I like it. Someone, but you have the gritty master and your boy.
Yeah.
And your boy. You love him. I know you love him.
Who, Mac?
I know you were doing a lot. No, Jasicki.
Oh, Jasicki? Oh, yeah.
I know you were doing it with him. You were doing the dance with him.
I kind of love that he's leaned into that. It's so bad.
Yeah, if you're going to be that bad at something, you got to lean into it or else people are just going to, keep ripping on you. So I get it. New Orleans at Indianapolis. Indy with the black helmets, the weird blue uniforms. Yeah, they were bad. The Colts were trying to pump those up.
Red Zone kept switching to them, and I thought it was the Titans. It was so weird.
I don't know why it didn't work for me. I think it was like the material of the blue jerseys. The black helmets were okay. I wasn't the biggest fan, but yeah, it just didn't look good. But they look good.
They did.
Josh Downs, dude. Josh Downs.
Dude.
And then MPJ.
But here's the thing. I like Josh Downs coming out of college. He hasn't done a fucking thing all year. And then I play him in fantasy and he goes off for 30. So come on, man. You couldn't wait a fucking week?
And MPJ, man, get that guy a quarterback. Can we please get him a quarterback? Can he come to Chicago? I want him in Chicago. I want Pittman. You're right. We only got running backs a quarter. I'm going Indy. New Orleans, fuck them. I'm sick of them. I'm sick of them.
I told you, Jack. We're at the stage now where we know who teams are, and I'm actively rooting against people. New Orleans is one of those teams because they're just a fucking eyesore. I don't know if I really favor the Saints, but I'm rooting for the Colts, so I'm picking the Colts.
Shout out to Gardner Minshew for making the Browns defense look like complete ass after we just talked about how they were on a historic run.
I know. Dude, but Myles Garrett is still, holy fuck. How unlucky is he that he's playing in the same era as Aaron Donald and the Watt brothers? Like, you talk about generational talent. He is that. He's fucking insanely good at football.
It's very disappointing to me that the Browns didn't Browns it up and take Mitch in that 2017 draft, and then maybe the Bears could have kind of snuck one in and got Myles Garrett.
Yeah, but then
third pick.
Where do we? I mean, we'd stick with Glennon for.
No, then you're bad enough, and you get whoever was at the top of the 2018 draft. I don't remember who that was. Was that
Baker?
Was that Baker? Oh,
that's what I'm saying. Unless we had the balls to take Lamar.
I would rather have Baker than
Lamar.
Mitch.
Oh yeah. I agree.
Maybe we take Josh Allen. Maybe we're smart enough to take Josh Allen.
Yeah, but he's an XFL quarterback in 2 years if he comes to Chicago.
He would have been with Nagy, so probably not. Houston at Carolina. Give me Houston. Got to keep this train going.
Yeah, the battle of the Houston, 1 and 2.
Houston might beat the brakes off them.
I think Houston is going to beat the brakes off them.
Let's hope so.
It's going to be ugly. I'm trying to find the betting line. Houston only -3. That's interesting.
Well, they're away. They're on the road.
Doesn't matter.
No, you're taking that. I would take that all day.
I mean, but look, these are the last 4 games by the Panthers. They lost by 10. They lost by 8. They lost by 18, and then they lost by 21. They're not in game. They haven't been really in games.
I think I might take that -3 tonight. Now that I'm thinking about it. Cleveland at Seattle. I'm going bounce back game. Give me Cleveland. I don't know why. I just feel like this is a game Cleveland's going to pull out their butts.
Jackie, this was the game that I needed to know your exact ethnicity so I can call you a slur. Because I'm competing probably my best or second best team in the dynasty leagues that I'm in. And I fucking send you a good deal. It was, it's not like either of us got over. But I get Amari Cooper and I get Deshaun Watson for a couple of firsts or whatever it was. Then all of a sudden, there's a fucking injury that pops up. All of a sudden, Amari Cooper doesn't get targeted by PJ Walker. Do you have fucking inside information? Did you know what was going on?
I hadn't thought about that. I was wondering actually the other day because I was looking at that squad in Dynasty and it's awful, it's fucking horrible. I'm like, God, I thought I might have had something, and then I was like, at least that trade for Deshaun Watson looked good, like me trading him away. And then I'm like, who did I do that to? And I was like,
you're a real piece of shit, Jack. You know that?
I haven't talked that up enough. I might go into our chat later this evening and bring that up.
Yeah, I still been winning though, but fuck. He got -1 because he threw 2 picks and then got hurt. And then Amari Cooper ended the game. I'm getting the score up right now. Fucking Amari Cooper ended the game with like 4 points. It was horrible. And Gabe Davis has been a piece of shit. Yeah,
Gabe Davis had a rough.
I already lost. I already fucking lost. I was up by a little bit, but I only had 137 points, and then he has T.J. Hawkinson and Ayuk, and they've already got the points that they needed. I was hoping for some torn ACLs.
Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, you're welcome for that great trade. No problem. Nice doing business with you. It is what it is. Who are you taking, Cleveland or Seattle?
I am going Seattle.
Okay. Cincinnati at San Francisco. I'm going San Fran.
San Francisco, yeah. They're just on that list.
Yeah. You just don't pick against them.
Yep.
KC at Denver. Kind of weird they just played each other a couple weeks ago, but give me KC.
Yes, KC is also on that list.
Baltimore at Arizona. I think Arizona may have fallen off. Call me crazy, Frank, but I think they may have come back down to earth a little bit. I'm going Baltimore. But of course, this will be the game that Baltimore fucking loses because that's just what they do.
Now, I'm picking Baltimore, but they're winning like 7-9. This is one of the games that they just, everything looks
They're winning 7-9? They're winning 7-9?
Yes, they're winning 7-9.
Yeah, they're gonna score 7 points and then win.
No. They're gonna have 9.
Oh, okay. So it would be 9-7.
9-7. Lamar Jackson's going to throw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns, and they're winning 9-7.
A classic Russ Wilson game.
Exactly.
All right, here we go. Chicago at Chargers, Sunday Night Football. Little intrigue, honestly. Oh,
Sunday night.
Little intrigue. I think people were begging this game to be flexed out, and now that we got the Bagent story, we're ready to rock. Here's the thing, Frank. Here's the thing. I'm picking the Chargers. I feel perfectly comfortable doing that because you can't tell me that this Bears defense and offense can keep up with Justin Herbert. It's not going to happen. But if I have to see that fucking graphic of 49 quarterbacks since okay, guys, when does it end? When does it end? Because the Bears are what? They're going to have another quarterback, so they're going to hit 50 right next year. It's going to happen. When does it end? When do you stop saying, well, the Bears have had 50 You know what? Other teams have had a lot of quarterbacks since 1980. Okay, maybe not 50. All right, I'm going to be honest with you. That's a lot.
The Browns probably do.
I don't want to hear it anymore.
Yeah.
When does it end? When do you stop saying when the Bears have a guy who could play quarterback for 10 to 15 years? Is that what we need? Is that what we need to have happen? It's not our fault. It's not Bears fans' fault.
Yeah.
That every single time we play on prime time, we have to see that fucking list every single time. I don't want to see it anymore.
I agree.
Stop showing it, please.
I don't hate the take, Jack. I also just think, like, can we just limit it to regime? Like, why are you going back to 1990? Half the people from then are fucking dead. Like, what are you talking about?
I don't know.
Front office people are way long gone. Like, stick to this. This regime has had one starter. Right?
It drives me nuts. Well, two now.
Well, two with Badgett, but I'm just saying, like, they haven't even drafted a guy yet.
Three technically, because they had who backed up Justin last year?
Oh, Peterman.
Wasn't there someone else?
Was there? I thought it was Nate.
I'm making this up. There wasn't another. Who played while Justin was out?
I thought it wasn't Peterman.
Dude, I can't remember.
I'm googling it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look this up too. This is interesting stuff here. I can't remember. There was someone, I think, of
I'm getting
importance.
it up. Don't you worry.
And I think we were gonna. I think we made fun of them, if I remember correctly.
I would have made fun of Nathan Peterman.
Yeah. I can't remember. It's driving me nuts.
Why isn't it? It's not even. Yeah, we're not. Oh, here we go. Show roster. Trevor Siemian. Boom.
Trevor Siemian. Boom. Got it. He played one game. We actually like Trevor Siemian. We liked that signing too. Thought it was smart. And then he didn't play very well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he wasn't supposed to play when he was a backup.
Anyways,
Jackie,
Frank, who are you taking? Chargers or Bears?
I'm going Chargers, and honestly, this is the game I think could potentially sway me or others. But if Badgett, he's gonna have to make plays. This is gonna be a game where the Chargers have a good offense. I know they've fluttered a little bit, but they're gonna let Herbert air the ball out. He's a phenomenal quarterback. He's gonna have to make some plays downfield. I think. To your point, I don't think the Bears can have that same exact game plan. And if they do, they're fucking cowards. Just point blank. Like, we're gonna have to see. Yeah. I get it. He's physically limited a little bit, but let the kid sling it downfield. You heard it himself. He says he got a cannon. Let's see it. Let's see the cannon.
He got benched for Nathan Peterman to throw the Hail Mary.
I know, which
was just a hilarious play because
it was.
It was just the way it panned out. It's so Nathan Peterman. It's just so incredible.
But Jack, listen, if we see him consistently make throws 20 yards downfield, even some deep ones, I may change my tune next week. I may. Yeah. But again, I said I meant to say this last week, but there was so much going on. My biggest fear about Badgett coming in and not only playing well, but playing too well, is it could, one, potentially save these coaches' jobs, which I don't want. I'm so out on them, it's not even funny. But then two, how Chicago Bears, take the names out of it, Jack. Take the names out, take the numbers out, take what you thought about them coming out of college out. How Bears is it that the first round pick or their highly touted guy gets outplayed by an undrafted dude, but the undrafted dude isn't good enough to be a franchise guy, but he's good enough to get you 6 wins. Carolina somehow wins 4 games. We're totally out on these quarterbacks, and we stick with the undrafted dude, and we talk ourselves into it. We're fucking all of it. You know what? Maybe he is fucking good. Tyson Badgett, his dad's the fucking arm wrestling champ. I love it. I actually really like it. I love that we're out of the Caleb Williams. I love that we're not going to get Drake May. Fuck those guys. I like Tyson Badgett. And then he comes in next year, and he fucking throws for 2,000 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 20 interceptions. Like, that how Chicago Bears is this? We're being set up right now, Jack, for the classic Chicago Bears scenario.
Yeah, I could picture every single thing you're talking about.
Exactly. That's the scary part. Is I'm not being funny. You're laughing because I'm embellishing a little bit.
I'm laughing because it's very fucking serious.
I'm dead serious. There's a scenario. But again, I'm not trying to hate on the kid. I do want him to play well, but I just don't think he's a starter.
Let him throw the ball.
Yeah, and listen, he's gonna have to. I think you're gonna have to against this team, and he's gonna face pressure like he hasn't faced yet in the NFL. Khalil Mack being the number 2 pass rusher. Racist Bosa coming off that. I don't know, but Bosa may not have a good game if he's playing a white quarterback. No, he may be tamed a little bit. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe that game plan, maybe the conservative game plan can work a little bit. Jack, I think I'm switching my pick. We have a conservative head coach going against a conservative defensive end.
You know what you're doing, right?
What am I doing?
That's good wordplay. You're pulling the classic Bears conundrum of talking yourself into something that's not going to happen.
No, it's not.
Did this last one.
I'm going with the Chargers, but again, I am very curious. This is going to be the game for me that shows you way more about Tyson Bagent, but it also shows me even more, not that we need to know more, but about Luke Getsy. Because again, I didn't think the game plan was very different other than the chip blocks and the commitment to the run. The passing game design wasn't different with a new quarterback in.
Same wide receiver screens that didn't work.
Yes. What are you going to do against a team we got to do a little bit more against? I don't know if it's going to work. I'm going Chargers.
Raiders at Detroit, Monday Night Football. Come on. I'm going Detroit. Let's not get it twisted.
Don't overthink it.
All right, Frankie, let's get the fuck out of here. We appreciate you guys listening to the Bear With Us podcast. I'm Jack. He's Frank. Hopefully we're talking another Bears W, although I severely doubt it, but I doubted it last week. Don't doubt Tyson Bagent, the man, secret Bagent man, as everybody likes to call him because they think they're so clever. Go Bears.
All right, Jackie. Go Bears. Later.
Everybody love everybody.